Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final expense leaders.
Hello, and welcome to episode 17 of Reset to Reinvent podcast. I am so excited. Today I have a wonderful, beautiful guest that I'm going to introduce in just a moment. But before I do that, I want to remind you to make sure that you subscribe, that you like, that you share, and that you support this podcast. We're on just about every platform you can imagine. I think like 15 or 16 podcast platforms. And of course, you can catch us also on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see us, you can go on YouTube. But we're just so delighted. We're really excited about some of the things that's not only coming up, but in the rest of July and going into August, we have just finished up a wonderful series in the month of June, and we called it Butterflies in Flight. And I'm sure our guests will really be intrigued by that. And that is, we had 8 women that I featured throughout the month who are in the insurance industry like me, and they have had some real a variety of tragedies and challenges, but they have overcome them and they're still soaring and thriving in the insurance industry. So we call them butterflies because, butterflies, they go through that evolution and stages, and it was just amazing. So I'm still fired up about that series, but you know what? I'm extra fired up today about this beautiful woman. She goes by Monique Williams. She is a published author. She's a TV personality, not only just TV, she is Emmy-nominated broadcast television journalist. And I want to welcome you to Reset to Reinvent, Monique. Hey.
Thank you so much, Helen. It is a wonderful pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You know what? I'm just going to dive right into it. You wrote a book. It was a collaborative effort with this book called Mourning Joy, Life Lessons from Our Late Mothers. First of all, what gave you the idea? Where did it come from to produce a book with this concept? I just think it's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. It is one of the most transformative labors of love that I've ever had the pleasure to be a part. It has been transformative. It's life-changing. And it originated from a conversation that I had with my mother as she was in her hospice bed, and she had begun her transition from this earth to heaven, where I believe she is resting now. And we were having conversations that I feel like I should have always had with my mom. And I was asking her so many things, and we would talk about this, and then I would switch the subject and we would go on to something else. And she asked me one day, this is when she was still pretty lucid and she was still able to communicate with others. She says, "You sure are asking me a lot of questions. You must gonna write a book." She said that in her Southern dialect. You must gonna write a book. And the journalist that I am, I felt like this time was slipping away from me. And I felt like I was trying to get all of these questions answered. And so I said to her, I said, "Well, Mom, I guess I am. Now, what are you going to tell your mom in that situation? If she's asking you, really telling you to do something, of course, you're going to oblige." And so I said, "Well, yeah, Mom, I guess I am." Now, at that time, I didn't know how that would come to be. That was in 2015.
Oh.
And yes, that was in 2015. And so I went through a period of about 7 years of just dark grief. It had arrested me. I was still functioning. I was still going to work. I was still serving in the community and doing those things. But deep down, I was lost because my mother was gone. It absolutely changes the essence of who a person is. I mean, there's psychological studies about it, physiological
Oh,
studies about, some of the things that the body goes through when that bond is forever broken. And so I went through a period of about 7 years, and I always felt like I kept hearing, you got to finish this book. You told your mom you would do it. I just didn't know how that would happen. And so 7 years came and went. It's amazing, how quickly. And we're coming up on the 10th year this year, which is just unbelievable to me. But after that period of time, I really felt like I heard the Lord say, at the beginning of that 8th year, 8 being that spiritual number of new beginnings,
yes.
really felt like it was a call to finish it, that I needed to get it done, and I needed to get it done in that 8th year. And I said, okay, all right, I will do it. I will do it. But I still didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know if that was supposed to be a novel. I didn't know if it was supposed to be something fiction, nonfiction. I didn't know if it was supposed to be a book of poetry. I've been writing poems since I was a little girl. And then I felt like I heard very clearly again, you are a journalist. You are a storyteller. Tell other people's stories. And so what I did, Helen, I sent out a clarion call to other women that I know, that I love, that I respect, that I've worked with over the years and had personal and professional relationships with, whom had also gone through the same tragic thing. We're all a part of this club. I say that none of us ever wanted to be a member of this motherless daughter club. And I said to them, I said, hey, I'm supposed to put a book together. I'm going to tell my story, but I think this would be so much more effective if I included the stories of all of you. We all have this one thing in common. We're all a part of this club that none of us wanted to be members of.
Yeah.
Will you go on this journey with me? And, years ago, people may remember the book, I think it's called, was it Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Right.
So that's kind of like the first thought of an anthology that I think people began to really hear about, an anthology being a collection of short stories or stories, from multiple people on the same topic or either on a different topic.
Right.
And so I knew a lady who had done an anthology before, and I reached out for help and I said, hey, I need to put this together. Will you help me? And she did. So I essentially had a book coach, and I extended the invitation to several women. A lot of them said, yes, I'll do it. They signed on in the beginning. But as you might imagine, kind of sitting with those feelings and, dredging up all of that stuff again, it became hard for some of the women. So some of them declined. But we ended up with 10 women and myself to come up with Mourning Joy. And mourning is Mourning. Mourning Joy, Life Lessons from Our Late Mothers.
I do want to talk about that because if you didn't spell it, then naturally anybody hearing this, they're going to think morning as in AM morning. And I thought that was very unique. And let's talk about that. Why mourning? And then when you put those two words together, mourning and joy, they don't seem to connect. And
Right.
then, of course, life lessons, from our late mothers. So that's a powerful title, Monique.
Thank you so much. It's a big oxymoron, right? It's like those
Yes, a gigantic.
gigantic paradox. They do not go together. But what we have come to realize is that, and which is the message of this book, there truly is joy that can come from your mourning. It can come in your mourning, during your mourning. And we know that joy does come in the morning, the next day, but we know that joy can come in this kind of mourning as well. And I really wanted it to be a source of joy, a source of peace, a safe space. Because I felt like when my mom passed away, I felt like I was the only one in the entire world on the whole planet who was going through it. I felt like nobody understood. Now, people lose their parents every day. Moms die every day. Fathers pass away.
Right.
I still felt so alone. I felt like nobody understood. And then I was so angry that the world was continuing and my mother was no longer here with me in the flesh.
Ah,
And I didn't know what to do with all of those feelings. Because with grief is funny, right? It takes you
yeah.
through so many different stages. You've got the anger phase, the resentment phase, you're trying to bargain with God sometimes, and then you
Yeah.
go through the denial phase, and then maybe finally you get to the acceptance phase. Well, anger is a big part of that. And I felt like God had forsaken me, but taking my mom, and I couldn't understand all of the praying, right, that we were doing and all of the things. And she still left this earth. And so I figured if I was going through this, I knew that these other women would. And then I felt like if women could pick up something and look and read it, I felt like in those dark times when I was alone and I felt like no one understood, if I could have just put my hands on something
Yeah.
that I could feel and touch and see that they went through it, and look at how they came out. They have found some joy in the morning. And so that's what I wanted to do. I said, I didn't have it. You know how you feel like you have to create the thing that you don't have, like you want to
Right.
be for people, that advocate or that mentor that you've never had, or that teacher. You
Right.
want to be that for somebody else. So that's what I wanted this project to do. I wanted it to be that safe space and that place of healing and that place of whatever emotion you need to go through. Because one thing about all of the stories in this book, and I love the fact that it's not even 100 pages, but it is power packed with all kinds of stories, the gamut from, I hated my mom to, I don't want to write about how my mom left. I want to write about how she lived.
Oh, wow.
It covers everything. Because what I realized is that not everyone had the same kind of relationship with their mom as I did. I had a wonderful mother, a good woman, faithful to her family, faithful to her God, faithful to her community. That's not everybody's testimony. And it's everything for everybody.
Oh, wow. So, Monique, when you said early on that this was a transformational experience for you, just the so what exactly does that look like for you, the transformation? Now, obviously, the grief is still there. Now, I'm sitting here like totally I don't even know what to say because my mother is still here. So for someone like me, I can already see that I'm going to be like you because me and my mother are very close. So you're already kind of preparing me for, but for someone, so this book is not only for someone who has lost their mother, but an encouraging series of
Absolutely.
highs and lows and joys and everything else for anybody who want to be maybe inspired or
Yes.
encouraged, all of those things, and want some joy and see what joy looks like, even when you're angry at your mom for dying, for
Yes.
example.
Because that mother-daughter relationship, as you know, it can be an interesting one.
Yes.
And I am so happy that you still have your mom here. And so for someone like you, who might say, well, I don't need that book, because my mom is still here. I think there's so many nuggets you can get from this book. One story in particular, that's why I made it the first chapter. Very, very, very powerful, very compelling story about so much time that was lost between mother and daughter because of differences and estrangement and life.
Yeah.
And then to finally reconcile only to lose your mother shortly thereafter.
Oh, wow.
So that chapter, for example, really touches on cherish every moment,
Yeah.
make it right, make the phone call, have the conversation, because we never know how much time we have. And to see how the co-contributor who wrote that chapter, how that experience with her mom has made her a better mother to her two children.
Mm.
So when I say there's something for everyone, I truly mean that. And even when a lot of men buy the book, because it's geared toward women, but they purchase the book for the women in their family. But again, it's for anybody who's experienced any kind of loss and what comes through that, the ebbs and flows that come with that. And then you have a chapter where there's not a harsh word spoken about the mother in this particular chapter. This chapter just talks about how her mom was everything to everyone, and everything in the chapter focuses on what her mom brought while her mom lived. Because one of the things that we do sometimes focus on when a loved one passes away is we focus on their death. We focus on their moment when they, I'll never forget, my mom literally died in my arms.
Oh my.
So while I have that, I also have all of my great memories with her.
Right.
So I don't want to focus on that moment when she passed in my arms, even though it was a very tender moment, because as my mom was in hospice care, my dad and one of my brothers, that particular brother, has also gone on to be with the Lord, which is another story. But it was my brother and my dad there with my mom. And then I got there. My mom by this time was non-responsive and her eyes were closed. And I held her hand and I began to sing to her one of the old hymns that they taught me as a child, Jesus, Keep Me Near the Cross. And as I sang to her, I saw her eyes move back and forth under her eyelids that were closed. I talk about this in my chapter. And I know that she heard me.
Yeah.
And so shortly after that, she passed away. And the nurse came up to me and she says, Miss Williams, if it's any consolation, your mother waited on you to
wow.
get here. And so I thought to myself, what a woman on her way out of this earth is still taking care of me. And I said, somebody needs to hear that story.
Yes.
And somebody needs to, somebody can be encouraged by that. Excuse me. So yeah, there's something, there are nuggets all through here that I just feel like can help a lot of people.
Oh man, it sounds absolutely amazing, and I do want to let's just say right now we're going to do this again in terms of where can a person get this book, Mourning Joy: Life Lessons from Our Late Mothers? Where can a person get this book, Monique?
Well, if you see me out and about in my trunk, no. But it's available on Amazon. Excuse me, I have to cough again. Excuse me, I'm going to drink a little bit of water here.
Sure.
It is on Amazon. And if you go to Amazon and just type in Mourning Joy and my name, this should come up, which is the cover of the book. And it's available for $19.99.
Okay.
And what I usually tell people is that, excuse me, you may not need to get it, but you may need to gift it to someone. So it may not be something for you right now, but surely you know somebody who might benefit from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for any of our listeners or viewers that's in we call it the CSRA within a couple of hour radius of Monique Williams, definitely reach out to her and get the book from her directly, and then you can autograph it for them,
Yes, and
and
I've been.
that's always fun is
It is.
autographing books. Now, Monique, is this your first work or is this one of
No,
many?
no, well, it's my first self-published anthology, and I chose to self-publish because of the content,
Hmm.
Helen, in the book. Because oftentimes when you go searching for a publisher, a big publishing house, and you go into a contractual agreement with them, it becomes kind of their body of work, and they
Right.
are at liberty to do what they want to do with it. And I just really felt very protective of
Yes.
these ladies and their stories. This is some deep stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I felt like I had to protect it. And so I went through the self-publishing route. And so it's my first. There have been talks of additional volumes, perhaps, to come. I've been so blessed to be able to show up to different vending events, where I do have my book on sale, and people are able to get an autographed copy. Of course, it's always available on Amazon. And then the other thing is, there's nothing like being able to meet someone and put a book in their hand and be able to talk to them about it. And I've also been fortunate enough to host some small group studies with my book as the center focus, to help people deal with grief.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that can tie
Sure.
into mental health, mental
Yes.
wellness. I
Yes.
believe the month of July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, yeah, there's a lot of different avenues
Right.
that this book can take to be able to bless
Yes.
thousands of people all over the world.
Yeah.
And so, with this selection or process of the 10 co-authors,
Mhm.
did you have like a pool of 20 or 30 and then they just kind of narrowed down themselves? Because you did mention earlier that a few people, after they did start writing, they were like, oh no, this is not for me, I can't do this. And it can be emotional, I would imagine, because I wrote a book about my breast cancer experience.
Mm.
And I journaled the whole experience. So all of that became a part of my book. And sometimes I pick up my book and read parts of it and I cried because I'm like, if I didn't write it down or
Yes.
journal it, I'd almost forget that it even happened.
Or forget how far you've come, right?
That too. Exactly. So how long was that process of reaching out, putting it out there in the atmosphere, and then whittling it down to 10 and then 11, including yourself?
It really, the nuts and bolts from time that, I mean, we're talking about a year and a half. Um,
Okay.
Excuse me again. Sorry about that. I know you don't like that in your interviews.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, this is real stuff. Now, I do want to make sure, and I'm going to give you a chance to drink again. For those of you just tuning in, this is Monique Williams, published author, TV personality. I do want to talk about that for a few minutes because someone might say, "Well, why is she called?" Well, she talks for a living, so she's probably done. She's probably been on camera. She's probably been out in the field
Talk for a living.
interviewing, out in all the weather, and who knows what she's done today before this
Right.
interview this evening. So I'm going to give you a pass for that, Monique.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And honestly, the weather is, it's been kind of stormy here in the area, and that does aggravate my allergies. So, um,
Okay.
but thank you for that. Yes, to answer your question, it was a long, arduous process. And it happened similarly to, like you said, some women started out and then we ended up with 10, plus myself. So, and I, you know, I get it. I get it. It was hard. And it's interesting though, because after this was self-published and it became a thing, it was manifested, some of those same women have reached out to me and they said, if you do another volume, I'll be ready this time. So I think a lot of times people have to, kind of see it, that it's going to be, you know, because this was the first. And so that's tricky with any groundbreaking thing, right? Anything that's starting out, any startup. Right. So I understood all of the trepidation, all of the hesitancy. I did not push, because people go through their own grief in their own way. One chapter is so profound. They're all so profound, really. I don't want to give away too much of the book, but this particular chapter, this particular co-contributor lost her birth mother at the age of 3. So she really didn't have a lot of memories with her birth mother. And so there was a woman who raised her as a mother would. And then a secondary woman who was just as much a mother figure. So we had the birth mom who passed away. And then these 2 women helped to raise this, one of the co-writers. And so during her writing process of her chapter, she was writing about the mom who raised her as her own, who passed away. And so they had left one other lady who was now, you know, an older lady who was still a mother figure. During her writing of her chapter, the second mother figure passed. Oh my God. And so she comes to me and she tells me this, and I say, we stopped the whole process at that point. I said, I will wait for you, because you have to include that. She says, oh, I don't want to hold up the process. It says, no, this process can't without that.
Yeah. How unique is that? I mean, that is,
you know, and that's why this process has been so, that's transformational.
Yes.
Because as much as we think we're controlling and we're getting it done and all of that, there's some things they're not in our control. And there's no way we could have predicted that was going to happen.
Right.
But I was very prayerful through the whole thing. And I said, of course, we will wait on you. And so we painstakingly, we waited. And the title of her chapter is called It Hurt, But It Helped.
Wow.
So think about what you could glean from somebody who has a testimony like that. When you're
this
on your own.
I'm sorry. I interrupted.
I was just saying, think about what you can glean from someone like that, whose testimony is that strong, when you are going through your own grief journey.
Right. So this book, Mourning Joy, is I believe it's going to be a New York Times bestseller. Okay. New York Times bestseller. And I'm sure there's other books out there about, you know, the loss of a parent or a mom. But I think the unique title, I think the uniqueness of having 10 women, I would imagine they're from all parts of the United States, different ages, and you know, all of that just makes the flavor
Mhm.
of this book, so unique, just like Monique Williams. And I just had to, when I saw you at the well, when I saw that you were going to be there, I mean, I was making a beeline to get a chance to see you and for us to meet in person for the first time, because we've communicated. And for our audience here, Monique did a article on me for a local publication
Ooh.
several years ago, and we'd communicated on the phone and by email,
And you're a
and never.
legend. You're a legend in the area, of course, and your reputation precedes you. And I said, "Oh my gosh," so to put a face with a name was just wonderful.
Yeah, that was wonderful. So for we're going to be wrapping up in a few, but I wanted to talk about you're a TV personality. You and then of course your mom, she had to reiterate to you 2 or 3 times, you're a journalist. You're a storyteller, which was kind of like, what you can write this book. Okay. And I think that's part of what was going through your head as well. And you said God was sending you those messages that, wait a minute, you can write, you can do this book. You're a storyteller. You can do this. So tell us about your TV experience and how you got into that arena. And where are you from, Monique?
I am a Georgia peach, born and bred.
Okay.
Small
Wow.
town, Georgia, middle Georgia area. I grew up watching the TV stations out of Macon, Georgia, and Atlanta. And I always wondered, can they see me? It looks like they can see me. It looks like they're looking right at me, talking. But my interest was really piqued in 11th grade. I knew that I always loved words. I always loved when we had spelling tests. Oh, I loved anytime we had to write. I love anything English, right? Anything. That's why I'm a journalist. I don't do math very well. So,
Okay.
um,
I
but
hear
my
you.
my teacher in the 11th grade, she asked me, had I ever thought about becoming a journalist? Now that was the first time I had actually heard the term. And I said, well, what is that? And she told me, she says, you're a great writer. You do so well on your English papers, and you're a great orator, because sometimes we had to do speeches in that class. And I said, I never really thought about it. So that's when I first started looking into what that looked like. And then it was confirmed by my 12th grade English teacher. She said the same thing.
Wow.
And I ended up going to Georgia Southern University, initially starting off in journalism, print journalism, the writing piece. But
Okay.
then when I realized I could combine the storytelling piece through broadcast, that's where I really felt like I would be most impactful. Because the media, as you know, as much as a bad rap it gets, it really is a necessity.
Right.
There are certain things that we would not know about if it were not for journalists, tried and true, reputable journalists,
Right.
holding people accountable and serving the community and giving voice to people who might not otherwise have a voice. And so
Right.
I've always looked at my profession as servant leadership.
Mm.
It's never been about anything else for me.
Mhm.
That's why I don't even really like the term personality, because I
Okay.
feel like it takes away. No, I'm not saying that you use it. That's fine, but to me, a personality is different than someone who is a journalist. And so, I was very fortunate. Very soon after I graduated, this was, I don't want to date myself, but this was in the mid 1990s.
Okay.
And I was able to get a job on air very shortly after I graduated, and that wasn't happening back then,
Yeah.
especially not for young Black women. And so, along the way, I've had a lot of starts and stops. So I've had to reset, to reinvent
Oh,
myself
okay. Woo, woo.
several, several times, because as women, we are the ones I feel like who have to juggle it all. You know, you can have it all, but can you have it all at the same time? And so there were
Mm.
years where I was a single journalist, really working my way up. And then some other years where I was a married journalist, still working in the business. And then there were some years where I was a married journalist, but I wasn't employed at a station, but I was a stay-at-home mom. And then, you know, so I've had some starts and stops trying to make sure that I was taking care of my family and taking care of my kids. And now, you know, having been divorced for quite some time, my children are now grown. I've always remained active in the news business in some way, shape, or form, even through social media. You know, the onset of that changed the industry quite a bit.
Mm.
But the heart of it, which is making people care and showing people what they need to know to be educated, to be empowered, and to be enlightened. Those are my three goals that I always want to do with my work in my storytelling capacities: to educate, empower, and enlighten.
Wow, Monique, when you were talking about your uh, journey, 11th grade, senior year, I had similar conversations, or some of my teachers had similar conversations. I love to write, you know, so I ended up going to Georgia State University,
The other
and
GSU.
another GSU in Georgia. How about that?
Yeah.
And went to the School of Journalism, and
Mhm.
got a journalism degree with emphasis in broadcast media. And so I've done, you know, over the years, radio, you know, talk radio, newspaper, even a little bit of TV, public affairs. I used to host and produce a public affairs show that years ago, really dating me, and it aired on Channel 12, WRDW Channel 12. And yeah, so we have a similar trail there. Now, I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you this, and I haven't shared this story in a long time. But so you're familiar with Zernona Clayton with
Yes.
WTBS
Yes.
in Atlanta, Ted Turner
Yes.
station.
Yes.
She was my mentor. Okay, yeah.
Wow.
She was my mentor, and yeah, the college connected me with her, and I would love to just see her one day because she looks the same, just regal, and wears her
Regal.
hair the same.
Yes.
She is the
Oh my
queen.
goodness.
Yes, and but my goal was, okay, I want to, you know, graduate and be a newscaster, you know, get on the
Mhm.
news. And
Mhm.
I had an experience where we did some student interns, and there was an incident where they got hurt, and, you know, I had the microphone and I was asking questions about, you know, how they feel and this and that and this and that. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this, because I was about to cry,
I
you
know.
know, and that was like a deal breaker for me, Monique. At that point, I was like, no, I think I'd rather go a different path, more like talk show format versus a newscast where I'm, you know, in a situation where I'm going to be bawling my eyes out. I'm supposed to be interviewing. So that's a story that I haven't shared in a long time, because I graduated from Georgia State University in 1981. I graduated from high school in 77, and then Georgia State 1981. So that's really dating me. But I love those experiences, though. Oh my goodness. And you're right. We do need news. We do need TV and radio news from um now, I know a lot of people like to say they're journalists, but they're not a journalist. You know, they are a personality. You feel me? And I can see how you, being the professional that you are, that it does kind of take away from the true meaning of a journalist. And that's a dying breed in this world. I guess you could agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm. Most
Yeah.
definitely. As I said, the industry really has changed over the years. The onset of social media had a lot to do with it. And so the traditional mediums of print and broadcast and radio and TV have had to make several adjustments to make sure they still hold true to giving people the information that they need. But I do want to touch on the compassion piece that you mentioned and the emotional piece. That's so true.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, I've always felt like it was very important that the viewers understand that journalists are people too.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, while we were trained, right, in school to be very stoic and, be very professional, I think it always helps if the viewer can get a little bit of view into the fact that, oh, wow, this is a regular person.
Yeah.
So it's gotten me a couple times live on air. I've gotten misty eyed before, but I think it allows people to understand that we are regular people as well.
That is so true. That is so true. I think that was just such a shocker for me that it was
I know
like I didn't even want to discuss it anymore. But everybody has their place in that arena, and you have done well. Now, if someone wanted to follow you on any of the social media, share with us your social media tags or whatever you call it, so people can find you and be able to see you.
I'd love it. So on Facebook, it's Monique Williams TV. Pretty active engagement there and following. I'm also on Instagram, and it's __ Monique Williams. And also, I am pretty engaged on my LinkedIn profile. So I can be found on LinkedIn as Monique Williams as well. And so I try to stay, kind of in those professional realms, and then also use my Facebook to really, really educate people. I put everything out there and let the people decide, because another thing is my mantra as a journalist: it's not my job to tell people what to think, but to think. And so I present the information, and you do with it what you will. My Instagram engagement, I'm a newbie on Instagram, maybe in the last 5 years. So I probably could be a little bit more active there, but I do still share things there. And then I'm active on my LinkedIn profile as well.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to get more people to see Monique Williams. And I just want to say, is there anything else that you would like our listeners, our viewers to know about you, to know about your book? Anything else you'd like to share that maybe we haven't touched on?
I just think I really want to let people know that Mourning Joy, Life Lessons from Our Late Mothers, might not be a get for you as much as it is a gift for someone else. Because, even though it's geared toward motherless daughters, maybe that doesn't apply to you right now, but maybe one day it will. Mm-hmm. And even if you are a gentleman listening to this, you know women in your family, if you have sisters and they've lost their mom or whomever, I'm not going to say it's the end all and be all, but it's a great start. And from the feedback that we've gotten, it's been very, very positive, very promising. I just finished up an 8-week class, those small groups that I was telling you about, just finished it up this week. We had 3 young ladies. We go through the book chapter by chapter, and they have just been sending group texts with pictures of their moms and sharing more stories and just talking about how the class has really helped them to deal better with the loss of their mom. One of the participants, it hasn't even been a year since her mom has been gone, but she got on the call with us, and some of the other ladies, we've been in this journey a little bit longer, so we were able to help her. And that's all I want to do is help somebody with this. Don't waste your pain is what I feel like. And if there's a way that you can help somebody. I always tell people, when you open your mouth and tell your story, it gives others permission to do the same.
Can you say that one more time? I think somebody may have missed that.
When you open your mouth to tell your story, it gives others permission to do the same.
I love it. I love it. And that's a nice way to wrap up today's episode. Monique Williams, the author of Mourning Joy, Life Lessons from Our Late Mothers. You can get her book on Amazon, or if you are within a 2 or 3 hour radius of Augusta, Georgia, and you're coming through, hit her up on one of the social media so that she can meet you and grab one of the books from the back of her trunk and sign it for you. This has been just amazing, and I really am so grateful that we were able to make this happen. I know your schedule is very busy, but I just think your book needed to be on my podcast, and I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Monique.
Thank you. And I applaud you, Helen, with everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for getting the word out about how important it is to reset, to reinvent ourselves. And it is okay to do that. So thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, you know what? Today's episode has just been absolutely amazing. I want to remind you to make sure that you like, subscribe, support this podcast. Just scroll down to where you see the footer and you can be able to click that little link and go and support this podcast. Share this with a friend, and definitely buy this book, Mourning Joy, and that's Mourning, joy. And we already said it's like an oxymoron, but it is so powerful. It absolutely so powerful. When you get a chance, go to my website, reset2reinvent.com. Not only will you be able to pick up and see some of our previous episodes, but you can go to my store, my Reinvent store, that has some of my books, and I've got several published books, ebooks on there, as well as some books that you can get the hard copy from me. But go to Reinvent store and get a book about leadership, a book about mental toughness, a book about my breast cancer journey. So check it out, reinvent.com. Check it out. And I want to thank you so much for joining me again, Monique, on today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast. And we're going to see you guys next time. And you know what? You were born to be inspired. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace.
Reset to Reinvent podcast. We are living in uncertain times. Job security is becoming more elusive. People are losing their jobs. Companies are closing. But wait, have you ever considered a career as an insurance agent? Just a thought. Our much talked about ebook, 8 Reasons to Become a Life Insurance Agent, can help you decide if it's for you or not. Order your copy today. Visit our website, Reset to Reinvent, and click on the Reinvent store. Who knows? It may be the best decision you've made in a long time.